Today with Abbott Family Insurance, we are sharing an exit interview with an intern that we worked with from the Harborside Christian Church. At Abbott Family Insurance, we believe in putting people first and growing our youth to be the strong business people of the future. In this special episode, we're sitting down with Ilya, one of our incredible interns, to talk about his journey of growth, accountability, and faith, from personal breakthroughs to professional development. Let's get started. Cool. Good morning, Ilya. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So today we're going to do a little bit of your one-on-one. We're not going to do the whole thing for our guests here today that are watching, but we're going to talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to do a little bit of an exit interview. Does that sound good to you?
Sound good.
Awesome. So every week I have you come in on Mondays, and what do I have you do on Monday when you get in?
Self-reflection.
And what does that look like?
That looks like, there's 4 different sections. So what we have is kind of like a ranking of how I've been doing in various factors. And then we also have 3 things I'm proud of. We have 3 challenges I faced and 3 ways I've developed over the past week.
Nice. Yep. And so from beginning to end, how have you seen your, because you're self-assessing on this, how have you seen your trends on actually filling this out? What are you seeing with it, I guess?
Honestly, I've seen pretty massive growth in myself, especially with regards to things like sleep and time management. Because when I came in, I did not know what the word sleep meant. I was getting maybe about 4 to 6 hours a day. Right now, I'm up to 8, and I feel great. I feel fantastic. And honestly, these things kind of like go in hand with each other. If your sleep is better, your time management is better, and vice versa. So I feel like everything has kind of been trending up for me recently, and I feel great.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I definitely agree, and to your point, it's kind of just an accountability tool, right? Like, oh, this is what I'm doing. These are the actions that I'm taking on a day-to-day basis, and this is where I'm maybe struggling or growing. And, when we actually do these one-on-ones, Aaliyah, it's not just work, is it?
Nope.
No, it's a lot of that personal stuff too, right?
Mostly personal stuff, honestly.
Yeah, it is, right? Because, a lot of times what I have found is that leaders in business in particular try to too much delineate this is just business or this is just personal, but the personal affects the business, right? And if your team is not making the right personal choices at home, then they're not going to make the right choices in business. So I have found that, especially in my short time of being a leader, that these exercises are tremendous for the team. So was this your first experience doing anything like this, or have you had experiences like this in the past?
I'd say it's my first time doing something this intensive, but definitely like in school, in like summer camp in programs kind of like this, I have done similar things, but this is the most like advanced thing I've done before.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Well, it's been a really wonderful opportunity to get to know you through these documents, and even outside of that. So thank you so much for participating in our exercise. But let's jump right into the exit interview. Kind of going through where we started, which the story of how we started actually is a God story in of itself. And I know that you know that, but for the audience today, it was just the craziest thing. So I applied last minute to get an intern through the church, and they so graciously put me onto the program so that I could have the opportunity to bring you onto the team. And I had just had a massive change in the personnel here in my business, and when that happened, I was kind of like, oh shucks, like, now I don't have anybody to help me in the office for the next couple of weeks until I get somebody to replace them, right? Don't you know it? 30 minutes after I went through all that stuff, and Joy from Harborside gave me a call, and she was like, hey, I got one for you. And I was like, great. She's like, he sounds awesome. I was like, great. And she sent me over your resume. And the funniest thing, and I think that was like the biggest sign, because not only did Joy call like 30 minutes after I had this huge change in my business, but your name specifically was like a raising, you know, beam of sun from the Lord. It was crazy. So my wife is Alana, but her name is spelled Ilana, and Aaliyah is spelled
Illia.
right, and it's that, Eastern European spelling that really caught my eye, and it was so unique. And similarly to my wife's, I was like, man, I definitely gotta bring this guy in for an interview. It also happened to be the last day of even getting interns that this all even transpired. And so I was gonna send Aaliyah an email, but I was like, you know what? Like, I just need to call him. So I just picked up the phone and I called you. And how did that call go?
I can't complain about it. It went perfectly well.
It did, didn't it? Man of words. So, that's really the beginning of what I felt was God's call to be like, hey, you're getting an intern. You're gonna pour into this young man or girl and help them grow in business and in life. But I want to, now that the audience has heard kind of where my perspective was on our initial meeting, what made you, because you had to pick me. You picked me first. So what made you pick my business as your home?
Oh, so yeah. Basically, I feel like no matter where life would lead me, one thing that stuck out to me on your application is the word business. And no matter where I would want to go in life, I know that starting a business in that field is something that I'm really, really interested in. Because from what I've seen, it's like the flexibility of it, the leadership, the responsibility you have. I love that about having a business. And yeah, that's what stuck out to me.
Sick. So, obviously, it was a good first impression from the advertisement that you read. What was the thing that stuck out to you most about your first day or even your first week?
What stuck out is that it wasn't like any other job I had an idea of or ever had before. Like I wasn't putting groceries in a bag. I wasn't like doing the daily like whatever everybody else does. I was actually getting coached. It was almost like a course rather than a job. Like something you'd pay for, something you'd actually pay for, not something you'd get paid for.
Mm. Very interesting. Now, your role has been very dynamic.
Yeah.
We've even had quite a few conversations about that and how change happens so quickly, especially in business. Was the role kind of what you expected it to be, or?
Well, I'd say that obviously everybody has their own like preconceptions when going into something, right? And they're not always going to be the same as you thought it's not always going to be the same as they thought it was, but there is always going to be the fact that no matter what you do, you're still going to learn, right? Like your life is still going to teach you important lessons that you need to know to keep going. So I feel like this internship definitely met those expectations. Like I've gained skills.
Love to hear that. So obviously we've done these one-on-ones and we can track, we can measure how much you improved. I mean, on the front sheet here, when let's see, when you first start filling it out, the first four categories are sleep quality and quantity, food choices and hydration, media consumption and amount by type, and time management. And honestly, bro, like we're looking at your week 1 scores and they're like, you maybe have a 5 overall. You got a 7, a 6, a 4, and a 3.5, right, out of 10. So we look at where you started and now where you are. This is week 6, and I've got 2 9s and 2 8s. And I've got quite a bit of detail that's filled out here throughout the one-on-one sheet, and I'm really excited to dive into that with you. But aside from just the growth that you've talked about today, Aaliyah, what are a couple of projects that you worked on with me, and which one did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, so to begin with, something that stuck out to me was the chatbot that I actually helped to build. So Mr. Rabbit, as part of his business, he has a chatbot essentially that he's going to use to actually help him like work with customers and work with employees that he's going to hire in the future. And I think it's just a really, really good program that speeds things up and does things super efficiently. And I helped kind of go on a website and help them build a chatbot with custom prompts and custom information that we added in ourselves. And that was a great project. So what else? Additionally, another thing I did for Mr. Rabbit was go into Excel sheets, and I helped him kind of manage his contacts for his businesses, his leads. And what I loved about that is that it actually entailed a lot of tech experience, much more than I thought. That I Much more tech experience that I actually previously harnessed in my career as a computer scientist. And because it kind of like really, really like met my passions for technology, and because I was able to use them to the projects much, much faster than I would have otherwise. So that's something else I really loved. But honestly, the chatbot is was really, really nice to build.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool, huh?
especially since I want to do something in AI, like as a career and as a business. I think that was really phenomenal.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, and we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, this was a general business internship. I wanted to expose you to as many things that was new and exciting that was going on inside of the business as I possibly could. So besides the chatbot, were there any other projects that you maybe took a lot away from? Maybe not the most exciting, but maybe that you felt like you learned the most from?
Maybe this was less of a personal project that I did, but a lot of the time, it was you on call with your agents and businesses, and I was listen. My project was literally sitting there and listening to what you were saying. And honestly, I feel like I took away the most from that out of anything else, just because of the way you talk, the way you communicate, and what you say. It's not just what you say; it's how you say it too. And I think you have that down, and that's why I feel like I learned the most from actually just sitting there and listening to you.
Were really challenging for you. Stuff that, you didn't necessarily pick it up right away or that you really struggled to get the hang of.
One of the responsibilities that I had trouble with initially was just I was given a script to memorize, but there was always like something that I found wrong with it. We were always correcting ourselves and going over and over again. Every like every typos, mispronoun. I mean, no, like weird sentence structures, and we just had to go in and fix that. And initially, there was a lot of like rearranging going around,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
feel like we were pretty challenged initially with the script.
What was the result?
The result,
Yeah.
I mean, what we have right now seems to be a really, really nice script. So it just
Personally, you said that there was a lot of growth, and obviously, from the personal comes professional growth as well. What do you think the top thing is that you grew from this summer?
top thing I grew from in this summer, like the skill that you feel like I've like kind of yeah. To be honest, I feel like the number one thing that I've noticed myself growing in is initiative. Because like before the internship, I feel like I was kind of a go with the flow kind of guy, which is great to be, which is a great thing to be, and I still am. But I feel like I've definitely grown in my ability to understand what I want and actually pursue it. Like if there's a position I want, maybe an achievement, maybe a relationship with somebody, I don't just like sit there waiting for it to happen. I go for it. I learn the steps needed and I do it.
Love that. That's a huge takeaway. What about this internship pushed you out of your comfort zone, but in a good way?
And I had to add that at the end.
Yeah.
So this internship was definitely more than anything an exposure to the real world. It's kind of like a peek through the door at what I'm going to be looking at in a few years. So I feel like as a I don't know, kind of as a lazy student, it kind of
A young man.
a young we could say it, we could put it that way.
Yep.
As a young man who has yet to dive into the professional world, we have yet to see these kinds of things, right? Just like these strict deadlines, just like being real with your employees as to what your expectations are. I feel like this internship has given me kind of a sneak peek as to what I can expect, kind of like dipping my toes in the water. And I think that's great because I'm going to be much more prepared for what's out there because of this.
Love that. That was great feedback. And I think that, even what the viewers aren't going to be able to ascertain from this is we had some pretty hard conversations, didn't we? We did. And my dad, and this will always be sounding off in my head, but my dad still to this day says, clear and concise is kind. If I'm not real with you about the expectations of what I expect, or what the business expects, or what the role expects, or what your girlfriend expects, or what your mom expects, right? Everybody's got an expectation. But it's how you meet that expectation that's going to determine how the world interfaces with you, right? That was something that we talked a lot about. And then secondly to that, if you're not setting clear expectations, you're not going to win in anything, because now you have people fantasizing whatever it is that they're fantasizing about in their head about what you think maybe, right? So clear and concise is kind, and we did have to have some of those tough chats. But out of those tough chats, I'd say that you've more or less learned every lesson that you needed to learn there. What would your take be on those tough chats and
those tough chats? Overall, the number one take is that I need to, if I'm expecting something, I better dress for it. And that doesn't mean just clothing. That means discipline, time management, accountability. Everything needs to be kind of go hand in hand in what I want to achieve. Like, I can't be expecting something and then not like actually becoming the person that deserves to fill that role. If I expect something, I should also expect to like rise to the occasion, to actually like show that I deserve to fulfill my expectation.
What did I do that made you feel welcome or empowered?
Welcome or empowered. I honestly really, really loved and still do love kind of the words of affirmation I get, because I'm just the person that kind of like thrives off that kind of stuff. And you're always super, super encouraging no matter what. And that has helped me to remain both motivated and disciplined to like do whatever you want me to do.
Love that.
With the job, yeah.
I love that. Thank you for that compliment again, man. That's really, really hit me on the inside. Was there anything that you think that could have been improved in how the internship was structured or even managed?
Structured or managed. There was a lot of impromptu, but that's understandable because you are a business owner first, right? And that comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of work and a lot of meetings. So while of course there could be more like structure and kind of like plan, right, for what we would have been doing, but it's understandable that there wasn't as much adherence to like a kind of like a strict plan that we created, because there are so many calls and businesses and meetings. But even in those kind of impromptu projects and situations, I was still pulling out the same lessons, if not better, real world lessons at as opposed to just doing kind of like a structured setup. So I think I'm also kind of grateful it turned out this way.
That's what's up, man. I love that. So,
do you feel like more confident going into the next year of school or even work with how this internship went?
Professionally speaking, definitely, yeah. Of course, there's always going to be like personal things, like socially. Everybody has their worries, right? But I feel like this internship has definitely made me more like made me have more initiative in dealing with those things. Like obviously, I'm human. I have my worries. I have my stresses. Everybody does, but especially on a personal level. But I'm definitely more confident, kind of addressing those in a proactive manner. But professionally speaking, definitely more confident, 100%.
Cool, man.
If you could change one thing about the experience, what do you think it would?
to be honest, I really loved like the whole sales aspect of it. I really loved like being able to hone kind of my like conversational skill and yeah, just communication skills to do sales. And I feel like more of that would have definitely been up my alley. But other than that, it was great.
I love that. Yeah, I would say that I agree. That's like the one area where I wish I, you know, provided with the time that we had, right? Which is only a couple of days a week and, you know, a few hours per day. But I definitely agree. I wish I could have poured some more like sales technical training into you as well, because you have the ability to speak well. You know, we've talked a lot about that, and you know, some of the different, you know, patterns that you can tweak and change to have more effective outcomes. If someone asked you about interning here, what are you gonna tell them?
Do it.
Do it.
I would just say that they shouldn't expect just any like regular internship. Yeah, there we go. They should expect kind of a wake up call, to be honest. Like with these kind of like self reflection sheets and just kind of the speeches Mr. Abbott gives, you should definitely expect to be held accountable for anything and everything. But all obviously encouraged while you're being held accountable. But you're definitely going to be more self aware with regards to yourself, and you're going to want to change yourself.
Hey, that's
So do it. It's a great life experience.
That's awesome, man.
And that's the spirit working inside of us. You know, we all have places that we need to grow from, and as a young man like you know, obviously you have more cushion to, you know, knock some bad habits out to be able to grow, right? I'm so excited for what the future has to hold for you. I think, and I try not to say the word potential because it's the dirty P word, because potential means nothing without action. You could have all the potential in the world and do nothing with it, right?
Exactly.
And I think that, you know, part of where our faith is too is Christ asks us to strive for excellence, to be the best, so that there is no, you know, look at him or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. At your age, it's just tightening up those few base behaviors that will propel you from dirty P word into success.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm so excited for what the world has to offer to you because, sir, you're putting 9s on this sheet, and you know you're in school, you're being productive, you're forming, you know, lasting relationships. Mm-hmm. God will bless you, my friend. Just continue to be disciplined, continue to sharpen that skill of discipline,